Alright, welcome back guys. Got this second video about easy language. This time we're going to be breaking down the volume average indicator. Now this one's actually a little tricky at first because it wasn't written the best. And yet this is just another reason why I want you to learn easy language if you're using TradeStation. Not only is it a great tool, and I've talked about that time and time again, so I won't get into that, but it's also a great way to be more certain of your trading plan. And that's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be another series down the road or just something I talk about a little bit in every video. But the reason you're going to be more certain is because you're going to understand the options. You will have tested the fishing pole, you will have tested the fishing line, you will have tested the waters in which you fish, off of the boat in which you fish. You're going to have your whole lifestyle in check. You're going to know the variables. So what do I mean by all that? Well, first of all, if I didn't say it already, welcome back. Second, it was a busy day in the markets today. It's actually a Tuesday after hours. It's kind of one of my favorite times to go ahead and make a video. And what's cool about today is that, the markets have been dipping and we finally had a green day that seemed like it mattered. And we can get into some of that later too, depending on how long this video is. But days like today are awesome because you get the feeling, okay, we could seriously have a push tomorrow or throughout the rest of the week. I had a couple questions. And they revolved around volume average. That's why we're doing this one today, so that we can kind of knock out multiple subjects at once here. So first thing we want to do, say we don't have it on our chart, we're going to right click, we're going to go to studies, we're going to go to add study, we're going to go to volume average, pretty much all the way at the bottom. You notice there's a lot of different volume indicators, and that can be confusing because options, calls, puts, somebody was really going crazy with all of that. We just want the volume average for right now. I can explain a couple of the others that are helpful to us, but we could also make our own, and that's probably a better idea. Go ahead and hit OK. Alright, so here it is at the bottom. I'm going to show you a couple things all at once that revolved around a couple of different questions. So let's do that now. Now that I have it, how can I change the colors of it? Okay, typically this is not much of an issue. It's easy to find, and for some reason, when they made this code, they were a bit on the sloppy side. And that's what also makes this a really great example to show you. So let's just go about this like we normally would, and I'll point out what is different. We're going to right click, we're going to go to studies, we're going to edit studies. From this menu we can turn our studies on and off, and we can set alerts for the ones that we wish to set an alert for and or turn them off. Here's volume average. You can already see that we are basing things on the close, and in the previous video I taught you that can be open, high, low, close. Those are the most typical and the ones that make most sense when you think about it. We also got a 50 and a 50, and we're going to see what those mean. And then we have my colors, which is not often the case. The way they did this was a little bit different. That's just the first different thing. You look up here on the RSI where the colors are typically, for this one in particular that I made, is cyan and red. So you're already noticing a little bit of a difference here, but let's just go ahead and customize. Now, the first thing is, as you can see down below on my indicator, we have dark gray for those that are unchanged, so it's about approximately 50-50 buy and sell volume. It stayed gray. We have the down color, which is red, and then we have the up color, which they're calling my colors Dodger blue. Now typically you're just going to go down to color, all the items will be there, but for some reason in this one, the only one that makes any sense is going to be volume average, which we see down here is orange. So very good question, by the way. Typically this is not what you're going to see, but here's the quickest workaround, and then I'm going to show you another workaround when we get into the easy language. So for starters, let's go back to inputs, and let's change my color right here. Let's just, it's not going to let us select a color per se, or at least if it does, I'll tell you what, I've never had to go that far. What we're going to do is just hit backspace, and we're going to hit, I think they wanted this green, if I'm not mistaken. And we're going to just, for now, let's just hit OK. And boom, it actually worked. So what I'm going to do now is see if I can't find the question. And the question was by Diane Acton. Is there a way to change volume bars to red and green? So I hope that was the first way to answer your question. I think you said you were using the volume average, and that should do the trick. But are we satisfied just with that? Well, of course not, because this is a breaking down the code video for the volume average in easy language. So let me go ahead and hit edit here so I can show you a little bit more of what happened and why. Dun, 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 dun. Wanted to see just how long this takes on my computer even from scratch. I usually have it open all the time. Alright, here's your volume average indicator. Now guys, I hope my colors are okay. If not, let me know. But what you have in the beginning here, just like we had last time, and you know what, let's go ahead and make a new one, because anytime you're working with something, you're going to be making changes to it. This new indicator, we're going to call it exclamation my vol short name m vol notes hi mom. Alright, blank indicator, scratch, right? Here's your this is technically your save button. So anytime you make changes, you hit save. Anytime you save, you then generally are going to verify that the code is correct. I can make some crazy stuff in here, but if I hit this, it's going to point out all the errors for us, and that's really nice. We don't really have much now, so we don't have to worry about it. Now we're going to come over here, and we can hit Control A for Control All, or we can just highlight it and scroll down, and hit Control C for copy, or right click and copy, however you wish to do it. Very functional. This is our IDE. It's just your your development environment. Paste while I'm thinking about it. You know me, what do I do first? I get rid of the gibberish, and I put down here, this time we're going to do just one line, so we're going to do the double slash, and we're going to say type. I always like to put less than 85 lines of code. Alright, last one we did was around 75 if I remember correctly. So this is just a few more. And you also notice we don't really, they did a couple things different here that we're going to talk about, with your alert being just right here. Technically there. Okay. So you already see that things are out of order here. At least my order, right? Alright. I like this. So got the code. I want to point out some of very similar to what we did before. Now, our file before, if you recall, open, I just named it U, which should be really easy to find. Come down here, try to find U. Where could you be? Hey, I told you it was late. If it wasn't for this coffee right now. There we go. And open that up. Alright, and this was kind of our format, remember? Alright, this is important because we're going to obviously do more than this as we go forward. But this is how I kind of want you to look at things for right now. Because really, we're going to make it easier on ourselves by doing it this way. Now, here's all my inputs. Okay, so those are right there, and most of them are colors or variables. So again, just for the sake of making it look better on our screen, I'm just going to make that a C. It'll take up less space on the top of the chart. And the average length, that's the number of bars used in the computation of the moving average of volume. Cool. And here we have what they called an integer up color, down color, and unchanged color. Now we can answer your question in yet another way, is if you did everything we just did, you made your own file, you pasted the language here, you called it what you wanted, say you wanted to call it Diane's volume, then you come in here and go, well shoot, I'm making this code, I'm gonna make it the way I want it. So you just come in here and you change this to green. Okay, and there's a number of things I'll have to do here because my colors are a specific list of colors, and what I taught you guys in the last video is if you're unsure of something, the first thing you want to do is right click and go to the definition. Okay, a lot of these guys running game on you, making these videos acting like they got some secret code, when 9 times out of 10 you're going to be able to right click it and go to the definition. If you're watching somebody else's video even, I'm okay with that, and they bust out some terminology you're not familiar with, just do yourself a favor. You can type it even if you don't have anything going on. This is not an official file, right? Well, I can type it in here and still right click it and find the definition of it, get an example of it, and boom, I'm on my way. Last thing I want is just you guys not to feel like you have any control over what is happening. So let's get into this. My colors, they're not listing them all here. I kind of was hoping they would, but there's really not a lot of them. There's just a few of them. And the one they use a lot of the times is called Dodger Blue, which is what they used in the case of the volume average indicator. But there's other ways to do colors too. We're going to get into that, and I may bust a little bit extra out today for you. It just depends on what it can show me. I don't have all my files up, but you can do an RGB code, which is basically going to be, you know, I was going to use X's, but we should probably use numbers. But it's going to be like 00, 00, 000, 000, something crazy. And I'll show you in a second what I mean. A lot of times we can do a lot of things. We just need to know the syntax. We just need to know the right way to put it. In fact, if I just put RGB there, is it going to let me do much of anything? See right here? Okay. So let's get a even better example on that if we can. There's a ton of them. And then you're going to be able to look online for your favorite color, and you're going to have the ability to make any color you really want. There's people that like to try to copyright their own color even. I still don't understand that, but they make their website a specific type of red or green or blue, and it works for them. That's all I can say. Let's just do it like that. So here's the best example for right now. So this is yellow. So they're doing the set plot color, which we talked about a little bit in video 1. And this is obviously their first plot 1. And then they put RGB, got these parentheses again, and then 255, 255, 0 is going to be your yellow. And again, you can look online for any of your RGB values. They're going to be all over the internet. Red, green, and blue. So Diane, if you wanted aquamarine instead of just plain green, you could do that as well. What you would do, just to be clear, you come here, do an RGB, and then do your numbers that you found online. Alright, with that being said, let's make this easier rather than harder right now. And I'm going to show you something else here in a second. Now, what's the first thing I got to do when I make changes to code and I want to keep this baby working? Well, you can come over here and go save and continue editing, or you can save and do this. But generally, if you just hit F3, it's going to save and verify. So let's go ahead and do that with one click, or you can hit F3 on your keyboard. And boom. So my volume indicator right now should be exactly as you asked. And since I know time flies, well, that's definitely gonna bite me later on, isn't it? Because it sure does. When we start doing these videos, I gotta be honest with you, time flies like crazy. I'm gonna take this one off. I don't want to see it anymore. We're gonna go ahead and studies, not style. And we can do it this way. We can just edit studies, go to volume average, and remove. Okay. But Jesse, what I thought this video was, yeah, it is. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, add study, and the one we just made, which I put an exclamation point at the first so it shows up at the top. And you're probably going to want to do something similar to that, maybe an exclamation and your first initial or first and last initial, or you can do this a ton of different ways, but it helps because you're going to constantly update these. These are the most updated ones. I'm constantly making changes to them. So anyway, there's my volume. Let's hit OK, and bam, I totally jacked it up. All we did was change the. Alright, so here we have my volume. I was like, I am not starting this video over. Got a phone call and everything. So let's talk about what happens, what you can do if you see this. And again, these have to be in integers. If you go ahead and change this, again, just good practice. Strong, yeah, that works. String, double click that and it'll come up. Now I'm going to run this and it's going to give me an error. Yep. Cannot implicitly convert numerical to string. So that's letting you know your information is numerical. So even these reds are technically, even though it's a word, it's assigned a variable, a number. Let's get used to just working with this code. I think is going to be best for you. Alright, so the first one was working the way we wanted it to, and this one's got a line all the way across the it. Alright, this can happen from time to time. Sometimes it's like a default setting when you make specific changes. So what we can do is we're going to right click and go back to that same screen that I've been talking about for a while now, edit studies. This time we're number 2. We're going to customize. And there's another question involved in this from another viewer that I'm going to try to hit on at the same time. So we start at general, and a lot of times it's like I know where I need to go, but I still start at the top and work my way down just to make sure everything's kosher. And right now it looks great on the colors. That's the way we wanted it. Technically the color down here is right. So we're going to go to alerts, not worried about that. Style, wait a minute. So MACD and a lot of your volumes and CCI, a lot of different indicators are actually a histogram, and that gives you those values in a in a vertical fashion. So I believe that to be our problem. We can change all the styles and weights, but we're going to just leave everything alone. Sometimes I do change the weight to make them a little bit thicker. It just depends on what I'm looking for. Alright, so I think that's where we're at. This color, again, the volume average, I want that orange again. So when you make changes to the code, it may go to default settings. Is really kind of the point. Especially when you create a brand new strategy or indicator in this case. It's going to give you the default settings. So let's try that out. Not exactly what I wanted, huh? Come back to customize, go back to style. Volume average is going to be a line, but volume is going to be a histogram. Alright. So if I'm not mistaken, that's exactly what you were asking for, Diane. I hope that answers your question. If it does not, I will come back to make another one We'll probably just do it on a different indicator. Next, let's go ahead and close that. Wait a minute, I mentioned another question, and that was, what if I can't get the volume bar right under the chart? I believe they said something about in the order, which I know is a big thing for me too. That's why I was happy to do this. And you guys need to know this anyway. Some of you may have 3, 4, 5 indicators on your chart, and you know you're going to want to put them where you need them. So again, like I always say, I start at the top. That's just the way we do it. Scaling. All right, check this out. So the volume I love it where it is actually, but we're going to go ahead and put it above the RSI. In order to do that, I need to take it to a different subgraph. That's what these are down here. You got your main graph and you got subgraphs. Technically, they're all subgraphs. Okay, so the chart is currently subgraph 1, RSI is 2, and the volume is 3. So we're going to bring this to 2, but it may cause a problem if we do that. Let's check this out. Hit OK, and sure enough, it combined them. Now you have your RSI value of 50 at the bottom of the volume chart. That's not what you wanted either. So when you do one, you're going to have to do the other. And so actually this time just go to the Thunderbolt RSI in my case, hit customize, and drop it down to subgraph 3. Okay? I want everybody to kind of understand that point too. I've never tried to see if there's a default setting within the code when you make something. That would be kind of odd, but in theory it's possible. Alright, so since that's driving me crazy right now, I'm going to go ahead and put that back on 2. Okay. And I'm going to go to volume, bring that to 3. And it's better you guys learn this now, because really you don't want to be doing it during the trading day. I think that's one of the greatest things we can do by learning easy language and working with these menus. Alright, so what happened when we did the RSI? Man, this is going to be a long video if I'm not careful, huh? When we changed it back, everything became aligned for some reason. May have to stop the video here. Let's see. Style. Alright. The 50 is definitely a line. Oh, it scales off. Look at that. So we pushed the scale out, and then we pushed it right back. I'll tell you. Alright, so the best way to do this, might have to show you. Oops, didn't like that at all, did it? Okay. To save us time, now when I try to put it on, so things can be quirky. It's also going to be good to show you guys how to do a study group where you have it saved for you already. Alright, we're going down to T for Thunderbolt. Boom, boom, boom. Let's move on while we still have the chance. So much everything here can be manipulated in one way or another. I'm going to maximize this screen, and we're going to get down and dirty with it. A lot of the space of this code, as you notice, 25 lines are devoted just to the inputs. For me, that's kind of crazy. So we are going to do a few crazy things with it. And what I want to do, because I promised I would get you into the habit of this, we're going to open another one. And we're going to open something like, probably better not be one of mine, just so I can know you have it too. So let's do something, let's just do indicators. This will make this easier. Okay. And I talked about the CCI earlier when there's no reason why we couldn't do that. It is kind of longer. Let's go back to something we were familiar with from the first video. Alright. Wow. 124 on this one. You know what? A lot of this, you see again, is just inputs. Here we are just 50 lines. I think, you know what? I'm going to show you what does work. Let's Boy, there's going to be a lot of editing on this one, huh? So, open, and let's do one of mine. But let's do one of mine that isn't terrible. You know what I mean? Isn't like super long, huge amounts of code. Let's have fun. No holding back. Alright, what I want you to see here, I'm going to talk kind of fast, but it's all good. In this case, we're actually importing libraries too. And that's going to come later. But what I want you to notice is, look at this format. Did you know when I first got all this back in the day from different indicators and put it all into this one and cleaned everything up and revamped everything, this was probably 30 lines of code easily, if not more. Easily. So what am I trying to tell you? Well, in our new volume indicator, why don't we just get familiar with manipulating the code a little bit. Let's go ahead and back. Okay. Bam. Still within the line. I mean, I don't like code that goes all the way out to the right. Don't get me wrong. But in this case, we're about to just clean up here. Get used to this. Get used to coming in, putting more eyes on code, if you will. EOC, however you want to say it, however you want to look at it. And we're going to shorten this even more here in a moment. Okay. So as I'm doing this, I'm going, okay, double, that's a number. Okay, with the possibility, with a decimal. How do they word it? I love showing you this dictionary. Come on. Here we go. See, I ain't gonna say all that. Okay. Remember, I'm a trader first, coder second. If I can make this easier on me, I will. I don't want it to be so much, in fact, so easy on me that I have no idea what's going on. That's definitely not what I'm saying. But we are already making this much, much easier to handle. Okay. And this is going to be yours. At the end, it's your volume indicator, not what TradeStation gave you or some nut job from some random website. I probably better stop there. But it's yours. Now, one thing, categorize. We all do this differently. But I'm going to put my doubles together. I'm going to put my integers together. That's just one of many ways to do this. Again, I haven't harmed the code. I could put notes wherever I want to. I can go ahead and put, begin doubles, begin integers. We can give the user more inputs. Now, I don't know what else you're going to really input for right now on a volume indicator. But there actually is some cool things that we'll do later on. I talked about using timers. You can put messages on the screen. You can put text on the screen saying highest volume bar. It can just call that out. Or you can put a timer since the highest volume bar. Well, it's been 30 minutes now since we had a volume bar that was the highest, or a volume bar that was over 100 or 1,000 or 10,000, whatever your number you wish. Alright, so we did all that, and I said I was going to make this smaller. Well, don't be afraid. These right here are just notes. Well, not notes as in the sense of notes like this where the computer doesn't read them, but notes for the user when we bring on a screen. And these notes, sometimes they're alt tags where you hover the mouse over and that's the text it shows, or a lot of times the tooltips are actually included in the menus. So you don't need this to be all, again, this is yours, so I could be like average length. I don't need the word percentage, I can just put the % sign into the percentage again. And you're like, well, why mess with all this? What are you doing? Well, I'm learning the code. I'm getting in here. I'm being a part of it. I'm making it my own. You know, there's nothing really better than that at first, for you guys to just come in here and start feeling like it's yours and that you know what it's all about. You know? So technically those are all on the screen. I'm not going to go too much further because, again, these videos get really long. And you know, you could do little things here and there. Okay. Enough of my OCD, but I hope you kind of get in the picture. That still works. Now I still have them lined up nice and pretty. Let's say you wanted to know more about code and what things we can do. Now, maybe we should do this on the note rather. Yeah, we'll do that later. We'll work with some of that later. Now, we just brought this down from 85 to 67. You have a volume. It's going to work for you every single time. And you can either come in here and change the color values as you want to. Maybe just to refresh yourself on the code itself, get yourself running with it. Or you can do it the other way we did with the input menu, but you're going to have to type the words in. And as you can see, I'm already way over time. Trying to figure out, it's like I'm scaling down the chalkboard, not wanting to leave. But look, all of this stuff, this alert here, the computer can actually say. Got an if-then statement here. If the price is greater than the price was a bar ago, then set the plot color to the up color. If the price is less than, we'll set it to the down color, and else otherwise just make it the unchanged color, which in this case was gray. See if I can add anything for you. Plot 3 is a 0 line, which is set to transparent, so that's why you don't even see it. And I mean, who needs a 0 line really anyway? It's the bottom. Let's see what we got here. We got another one of those case statements. It's a switch case. And in case 2, 3, and 4, this is going to happen. In the default case, this will happen, meaning here you're on a chart that has ticks. Here you're on a chart that is daily, weekly, or monthly. They have to make that distinction. It's one of the distinctions they make most often for a lot of the indicators we make. The other distinction is it's either in a chart or it's in a radar screen. So they'll put some code in saying that if it's in a chart, do this. If it's in a radar screen, we'll just do that. So I hope that I know between answering questions and having my own computer issues that this was a whole lot of fun here. I think next video we're going to actually just take a look at some of what I've been able to accomplish in my own indicators, perhaps. And it also just depends on any other questions you guys might have. It's easy to get sidetracked on this, and that's why I keep asking you guys to go ahead and ask questions. I can go off on my own tangents all day, but I'd rather help you out. And you're going to see that we need to update this as well. Let's go to this. Now, let's start at the top. Inputs. And you notice how they all got these commas. Comma, 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 right? So let's take an example here. That's just one example. They're all going to end in commas until you get to the very last one. Is going to be this beautiful semicolon. And a lot of the times when you go into variables, same thing. And the last one is different. Okay. If you're copying and pasting and you actually didn't put some, you say you put some down here, it's going to already think it's over. You need to do all commas until the very last one of your variables. Same with your inputs. You can't have this boy, I'm calling it a semicolon, man. Hey, look, it's been 20 years since I've been to school, but anyway, if you have that way up here, it's not going to act right. It's probably going to just give you a bunch of errors. You know you want to see it. All right. Help. And so it's just like everything's wrong. I don't like you. So you need to have that as a comma. And you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make some errors here and there. That's not a problem. It's knowing how to fix them. It says a bracket was expected here. It's not always going to give you the right answer either, by the way. So just know that commas are needed in this. And these are all part of the input declaration here of price, something you're calling price, which is a double. And so why they even put them on separate lines makes no sense to me. I guess they just think it looks prettier. You know, a lot of people will do a ton of formatting. They'll have these lines all day long, and then they'll put a note, and then they'll hit enter again and make it all little boxes and all this stuff. I'm like, get out of here. I don't need all that fluff. And that's how we save a lot of lines of code a lot of the time. But you also got to understand that I've been doing this a while, so my goal is to kind of help you get in that same mindset. So with that understood, you're going to have our inputs. One of them is going to be a color. So let's just call it color 1, color 2, color 3. Okay. And again, this is really short summary, okay? But then on the last one, and see how it made that line there? It knows the input section is over. You got me? So that's going to be one of the things that gives it away too. And aside from input, let's go back over to my indicator. And variables. Also important. And technically that could be high, open, low, and close can be everywhere, but input, not input, variable. And a lot of times this is where you're going to put integer, or you're going to put double, or you're going to put float, just depending on what type of number it is, all of which can be looked up in the dictionary. Okay, so double, birth date, and then you're going to assign it basically. One of the things they did, let's just make up a format. Okay, and you could call on that later. But again, however you choose to do this, and whatever it is you're making, let's just go integer 1. What did I forget? Boom. Integer 2. And integer 3. Boom. Again, it knows the variables are over with now. Okay? A lot of times this is when your math functions are going to begin, such as these. Or you're going to actually do a number of things, alerts, you name it. But we're going to start to see more and more structure. I'm going to save this again and we're going to come back to it. I pretty much have to stop it there. You're going to learn what you can change. You can change any of the colors, right? Not a problem there. You can call things different names as you see fit. Here we could change the color of this. Shouldn't be much of an issue. We don't remember plot, so we're gonna right click it, go to the definition, and go to the correct version. Oh, the first one is the name, so its name is just 0. And well, that's what the value is, excuse me, that they are plotting. That was some pretty easy math, huh? The name is 0 line. Now you can see in the example too, by the way, you just use quotes here. A lot of what TradeStation did, they just, for some reason, they put it in the parentheses. They put this thing in the front. I have never really understood why, because every time it's there, I can get rid of it. And you know me, I don't like to have a lot of code around that we don't need. So hey, if you stuck around this far, I want to say thank you. It's not always easy making these videos because since I'm not trying to sell you anything, I really don't got a direction as to where exactly I want to go because I'm leaving it open to you guys. Hopefully this series hasn't been too much of a brain scramble and you are getting something from it. And if you are, let me know. Because even just colors could be a 30-minute video, to be honest with you, between the keywords, between the My Colors section of colors, the RGB colors, and I mean, you could go on and on and on. But that's not really what we're trying to do, at least not what I'm trying to do as of right now. I want to give you more of a sense of what's going on. We took this indicator and basically just cleaned it up. We went from 87 down here to my volume indicator of 67. You save 20 lines right off the bat. And later on, that's going to allow you to do stuff. Maybe I haven't made that clear. It's just, it's going to allow you to then add your own pieces to something that's not already overinflated. So you slim it down and then you go, okay, cool, I can copy and paste these sections into other indicators. I could put 2 MAs in here, 2 moving averages, along with the volume. Or I can, you can do a lot of stuff. And they used to always tell me that's how the MACD was made. Somebody was just messing around with code. I don't know if that's true or not. And because they basically took a volume indicator and then they changed it and put it in a moving average, and then they just kept messing with it. And so now it's one of the most popular indicators ever. And yours will be too. At least they only got to be popular to you, mind you. Intrabar persist just means it's a constant, right? It's constantly checking for new values. And they want to make that clear. Sometimes it's already that way, so you don't have to write that all the time because there's a setting on the options menu that says intrabar persist, or would you like this thing to constantly be updated, in other words. Guys, I could talk about this all night, and we've only really busted out 2 indicators, to be honest with you. I mean, it's all about volume tonight. Hope it was helpful. Thanks for sticking around. You guys have been great. I will continue to make videos as long as they are wanted. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.